Critter Trades here, and today I'm going to do a comparison test of fluid film versus fluid film black. So fluid film sent me a few of these cans here. I have 6 cans of regular and 6 cans of fluid film black, and I've never tried the fluid film black before, so I'm going to see what it's all about and compare it to regular fluid film. And they're supposedly the exact same. This one just has some black color to it so that you can see it, and so that it covers up rust, and I'm curious to see which one is better. I'm going to put a few test strips on the car, as you can see right over here, and I'm going to undercoat each side separately so you can kind of see what it looks like compared to the other, and then we'll see which one I like better and which I think you should get. So I put 2 test strips here just to kind of see what it would do on the body of the paint. I'm going to leave these here. I'm not going to wipe them off over the winter, and it already looks like the tan fluid film is a little bit runnier, so I'm curious how much this spreads and creeps versus the black. So we'll see over time if the black starts to creep out a little bit more. I don't know if it's just the black is a little more even coated, and it might be because it's easier to see and it's easier to tell how much you have on there. So I'm curious to see what happens here in terms of the creeping. So I'll keep an eye on this, and I'll see if there is any noticeable difference between if one washes off easier or not. So honestly, I don't really see too much difference between the way it looks. I guess aesthetically, the black looks a little bit nicer than the cream colored fluid film, but if you're not putting it on like a brand new car, I don't think it really matters too much, unless you're trying to like cover up rust to make it look like it's not rusty. Then I would say definitely go with the black. But I guess it's kind of personal preference. I think it's almost easier to see the tan colored fluid film than it is the black, because my car has caked on fluid film and dirt and grime from previous years, and the black kind of blends in with that. And the tan, you can actually see a little bit easier where you've put it and where you haven't. Alright, so it's now been 6 months and winter's almost over here towards the end of April. And we're going to check out how these two did, fluid film black and fluid film. And as you can see, they look pretty good for going through a full winter without the car being washed at all, and with all the road grime and spray and salt that gets blasted up on these cars. So this spot right here is the fluid film, this spot right here is the fluid film black. And as you can see, they look very similar on first glance. And something that happened over the winter is about 2 months after I had applied these, I actually got blasted by a snowplow. I was parked on the street and a snowplow launched some hard packed snow, and that's what you can see, these little scrapes in the fluid film that where it has been removed from those plows coming through. Right after the plow hit them, it removed a lot of the fluid film from this area, and then if you notice, the fluid film has crept back to cover the areas that the plow had removed when it hit it with packed snow. And that's what's really great about these products, is that they creep to cover any imperfections or where any of the fluid film has been removed due to road debris, rock chips, that sort of thing. So as you can see, they're holding on very well, and underneath here they're still very slippery where the plow had already removed it. So there's still a lot of fluid film there, which is good because that's what protects your car and keeps the salt and the water off of the paint. And especially on the underside of the vehicle, it keeps it off of the frame and the different suspension components underneath. So these are very similar. The fluid film black might be a little bit thicker. It might just be due to the pigment in it, the blackness, so it's hard to tell exactly, but they are very similar products. And I think the fluid film black seems to be a little bit thicker than the regular fluid film does. And that's kind of better for an undercoating. And if you're looking to purchase either of these, check out the link in the description to buy them. So here on the back, this is the Fluid Film Black, this is the regular Fluid Film, and again, pretty similar results. They definitely are very slippery still, which means that they're still allowed to, that they can still creep to cover the areas that are removed. And the fluid film down here is a little bit drier, and I think that's because it got hit by a little bit more road debris off the back here. So it's a little bit more dried up, and this is a little bit more liquidous. So again, very similar results. This side is where the regular fluid film was applied, and in these areas here, these were applied inside the doors and inside of the fenders here. So this is all creep. And so the fluid film actually crept around the outside of the door up this far. None was sprayed on the outside of the vehicle in these locations here. And on the other side, this is fluid film black that was done all on this side, and as you can see, it creeps about the same as the regular fluid film. I wasn't sure if the fluid film black would creep as much as the regular fluid film did, just because it is a little bit thicker, but it did seem to do a very good job at creeping. And I think they're pretty even in terms of how far they creep after application. Alright, we got two brand new cans here. We're going to see how far they spray compared to each other. Got the black and the regular here. So I'm actually pretty surprised with this spray test. I thought they were only going to spray a couple feet. I've sprayed them before, but I didn't realize how far they actually spray. With the straw nozzle on there, they spray about 5-6 feet, and the fluid film goes maybe 6 inches further than the fluid film black does. The other thing that's worth noting is when the straw is on there, it has a wider, more even spray. You can see it on the paper here, how it's much more spread out. If you don't have the straw attached though, they go really far. I was surprised. I've never used them without the straw on there. And the fluid film went like 10 feet and the fluid film black went like 8 feet. So if you want a little bit further reach, take the straw off of there and you can spray them a lot further if there's a tough spot to reach at. But if you want a more even coating, leave that straw on there. You just need to know that you need to get a little bit closer when you're spraying so that it'll reach where you want it to go. Alright, we're going to take this thing through the car wash and see how much comes off with the brushes and the soap and suds, and see how they hold up to a car wash. So after taking these through the car wash, they both held up extremely well. The car wash really didn't put that big of a dent in them, and it really doesn't look too much different before or after the car wash. One spot where it did rub off was on the edges of panels where it kind of had more abrasion directly on that spot. That's kind of the only spot where it came off after the car wash. And I'm surprised because a lot of people say that fluid film washes off pretty easily, but if you let it cure before you go in the water or drive on really wet roads, if it cures and has a chance to fully set in, it is extremely durable and extremely sticky stuff. And it's not like you can spray it off with a hose, because you can't do that. I'm gonna have to actually scrape this off with like a plastic, like a credit card, I think, to get this off. The other thing too is that the undercarriage wash on the car wash really didn't touch the fluid film at all. It sprayed on there, but it's such a small amount of water and it's for such a small duration that undercarriage washes really, I can't get how people think that's enough to keep salt off of their car, because it doesn't get anything out of the doors. It doesn't get any salt out of the inside of panels or the inside of suspension components, and car washes really don't help with salt at all. It's kind of a myth. I don't know why people keep saying just wash your car every couple days, but it really doesn't get the salt out. Alright, so as you can see, this is the regular fluid film side, that's the fluid film black. They look extremely similar. You can kind of notice it here on the diff. You can see the color of the diff, the silver here a little bit more. It's definitely a much more grimy black, dark looking here on the fluid film black side. But other than that, there is no real noticeable difference. Let's see how much is on here. Still a lot there, so you can't even scrape it all off. There's still so much on there. Yeah, still quite a bit on there, and we'll check the other side. Yeah, it's almost identical in terms of performance and how much is left on the material. On the back side, I guess you could say the front side of these control arms here, it's not as liquidous as it is on this side. On this side, it's much more dry and crusty, but it's definitely still wet on the front side. That's where a lot of the road spray hits it. And there's definitely a lot of fluid film still on there. It's just not as much as here, because this doesn't get directly hit like the front side of the control arms would. So again, but everything is completely coated and it looks really good. I'm very impressed with the fluid film black and how it held up compared to the regular fluid film, and I kind of knew that was going to be the case. So overall, fluid film versus fluid film black, I think they're extremely similar products. I don't think you can really go wrong with either one. I think fluid film black is just a little bit thicker, which might help with it being sprayed off as much. So that's something you're worried about. I might stick with fluid film black. I'm probably going to go with fluid film black going forward just because it is a little bit stickier, but really either one are extremely good products, as you can see from what my underside looks like. After about 6 winters, they really do work well, and they both creep extremely well, which is what you want in an undercoating. If a rock chips off some of the undercoating, the fluid film will self-heal and cover those spots to keep your car protected. And it's just really amazing stuff. The biggest differences are fluid film black obviously is dark in color. Regular fluid film is clear in color or creamy color, and fluid film black is black. The fluid film black is slightly thicker. It will not spray as far as the regular fluid film will out of the spray cans. Not by much, but just a little bit. It is something to note as well. It's easier to see where you apply it, I think, just a little bit. The price, they're almost identical in price point, and you can check out a link in the description to buy them. But overall, both are extremely good products. It just depends on what you want, or if you like the black part about the fluid film black, or that it's a little bit thicker, you might want to go with that.